see if this thing works. All right.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see if it follows me. No, it's not following. All right.
We're following you.
All right. It doesn't matter. Okay. Um.
The right button is the only button that we need. This and your presentation is loaded up.
All right. Cool. I hope it automatically plays the video.
I hope so too.
All right. Hi, everyone. How's it going? My name is Eli Diaz, and I am the founder and, for now, sole consultant of Enso International Business Consulting. And I'll tell you all about what we do. But before then, I want to lay down some expectations here. This presentation is going to be about 10 minutes long. We're going to have some time for Q&A afterwards. And what I want you guys to get out of this presentation is not just me talking about my company, but I want this to be a learning experience for everyone, including myself. And so, yeah, today's presentation is basically about building bridges and breaking barriers. Bridges that we're building is bridges between us and people from other parts of the world who are also having the same goals as us. And breaking barriers is breaking misconceptions and misunderstandings because they are very expensive, as we'll find. All right, so this presentation is basically 4 parts. One is we're going to look at the big picture. The second part, we're going to look at some of the costs of misunderstandings and miscommunication. And we're also going to look at how we remedy those issues. And finally, we're going to talk about crisis and opportunity and how they're actually pretty correlated. Okay, so big picture here. So loss in translation. The cost of miscommunication is pretty high. In global business, misunderstanding can equal lost time, lost revenue, lost partnership. So communicating effectively and having a cultural sensitivity and cultural understanding is absolutely important in business overall. So here's a little, hold on, let me see if I could click on the video. Here's a little snippet of how important cultural understanding is in business.
Hit the button again, see if that works.
Yes, it does.
The English believe it's a slur on your host's food if you don't clear your plate. Whereas the Chinese feel you're questioning their generosity if you do. But HSBC.
Alright, so can anybody explain what just happened in this video to different people? Because my culture, we don't finish your food, and that means, yes, they both have the best intentions, right? They both have the best intentions. The local, this is Hong Kong, they're speaking Cantonese, but the local hosts were trying to show their generosity to this gentleman who was there for a business meeting, maybe he was there for a sale. And he's there trying to show appreciation for such generosity in his own way. And what happened, what resulted from that, was probably food poisoning from the local guy, and them believing that their generosity is simply not enough, right? Funny thing is, they both probably wanted to accomplish the same goals. But because of this misunderstanding and miscommunication, we don't see what happens after this meeting. But they probably are both going home saying, I don't think our guest had a great time. And he's saying, I don't think I had a good time being there, and I really tried my best, right? So here's another form of misunderstanding and miscommunication. This comes from an infographic book made about 20 years ago between a German person who did business in China. So right here we have, in the West, we tend to outwardly show our negative emotions. We try to control them, but it's okay for us to be very honest about how upset we are about a certain situation. In Eastern cultures, that doesn't happen as much. You kind of hide your negative emotions to not disturb the harmony of the group or the collective, right? Another thing is we like to go straight to the point. You know, if I'm here for sales, that's why I'm here. That's what we're doing, right? While in Eastern cultures, they tend to kind of move around the point a little bit before finally getting there. And this also gives them an ability to be a little bit more adaptive to change. Um, so one very important concept here is the boss. So I believe that in the West, the person who is the boss is not necessarily the most talented person in a group, but it's the person who holds the crown, the person who holds liability, right? If anything goes wrong, it's ideal for in the West for the boss to give face and say, hey, this is on me. I was the leader here. While in the East, the boss is seen more like a father figure, right? And so the issues kind of trickle down, and it's the lesser employees that tend to take responsibility for mistake, never the boss. And so, these three little snippets that we just went through, how do you think they can affect business interactions between people from the West and people from the Orient? I mean, it can really take a toll. If someone from the West who's trying to get straight to the point, who's in a business meeting and has 3 days, it can really take a toll on their mindset and their business if they're going to a meeting and they're just going around it, right? So the differences are more than just cultural quirks, right? They impact negotiations, they impact deals, and they impact partnerships. And the real question is, what does it cost businesses? Right? So I'm going to talk about some of the hidden costs here. So here's some hard facts, right? When it comes to cultural miscommunication, there's small gaps, and those small gaps create huge losses. So a study by SHRM found that the top companies, the top Fortune 500 companies, lose about $62.4 million a year just because of miscommunication and misunderstanding, right? And when it comes to cross-border deals, according to Harvard Business Review, 70% of cross-border joint ventures fail because of cultural misunderstandings. And that equates to erosion of trust. Companies that mismanage their cultural expectations, they tend to lose long-term partnerships. And this could be as simple as going to a dinner, just not knowing the protocols. So why does this even matter? Well, deals can be delayed or lost, wasted time and increased operational costs, and strained relationships that may take years to repair, if that. Right? So for me, I analyze this in a way that miscommunications and misunderstandings, they equal delays, lost deals and mistrust, and that equates to inefficiencies, missed opportunities, and financial losses overall. So I'll give you guys two small examples here really quickly. One is Pepsi. So Coca-Cola in China is absolutely amazing. So much so that a lot of Chinese actually believe that Coca-Cola is a Chinese company. Because Coca-Cola, it means happiness, right? And so Pepsi said, if Coca-Cola got this, we can do it too, right? So they went over to China, they went over to Taiwan, and they came up with a slogan, and the slogan goes, "Come alive with Pepsi." And unfortunately, the characters that they use with "Come alive with Pepsi" equates to zombies. And resurrecting ancestors. And the Chinese are very superstitious people, so they're not going to buy Pepsi products. They want the ancestors right where they are. Another miscommunication issue is Best Buy. Best Buy has a great model in the United States. People go to these big outlets and they buy all the electronics they need. It's all in one giant place, and we like window shopping and looking at our options. The Chinese don't. They like a more personal experience when they buy electronics. They go to electronic markets. They know a vendor. That vendor introduces them to the product. Best Buy couldn't really keep up with that, and so we feel there's no Best Buy in China. So the next one is building bridges. So how does my company, how do I create global success? How do I mitigate these issues of miscommunication and mistrust and misunderstanding, right? So what Enso does is we help businesses navigate the complexities of international markets. So just because your business is local doesn't mean mean you don't deal in international markets. You might have a customer that's from somewhere else. You might have vendors that are from somewhere else, right? And these little things that you might not think are important, you might have transactional relationships with these foreign entities. They could really take a toll on your company if things go wrong, or if they decide to change the scope or the price, right? So you have to really understand how to navigate negotiations with these people. Right? So we serve as a vital link between companies and their global aspirations. So what sets us apart? So we have a deep understanding of Eastern and Western culture. I personally lived in China for 6 years. I just got back. I'm still jet lagged. So we have a personalized approach. So I like to call myself a tailor. I talk to you. I see if we're compatible, and I see where I can help. A lot of big companies do what I do. KPMG, they do what I do, but they're not going to sit down with you and talk to you in the way that I'll do that. Right? A track record of successfully connecting businesses across borders. I've worked with Chinese entities. I've worked with local companies here. I've consulted them. I've sat down with them. We put out fires together. And there's people in this room that can attest to it. So, all right. So I have two types of clients. My first clients are U.S.-based clients, and the services I provide to my U.S.-based clients or local clients is liaison services. So I'll be your guy that takes over the communication aspect with your international vendors and your international customers. I can facilitate that for you. I also conduct cross-cultural communication training, and not just between East and West, but also Latin America. So I equip teams with cultural awareness and anything that they need to succeed in global negotiations. And I also do sourcing and vetting for vendors. So if you have any vendor in the East, I help identify and check quality with them. I will go there myself. And right here, these two words are very important. I've been trying to set up trips and visits to China for vendor acquisition and quality control. So I'm able to do that as well. I can set up your trip. I can make sure that you have a good time out there, because a lot of people go there on their own and we don't get good reviews. So my other clients is my foreign clients. Right now I have some Chinese client prospects that I went over to China and gotten. What I do for them is liaison services, same thing. I facilitate communications on this side. And I connect them. And the most important part right here. So market entry and business development. I can't do I'm not an octopus. I don't have any wings. I can't do everything at once. One of the biggest needs of Chinese companies right now is that they're creating products to sell all over the world. And they have a lack of understanding of markets. They have a lack of understanding of sales and distribution. And guess what you guys do? Especially in this room. A lot of you guys provide services. And so I want to connect. I want to be the bridge between your skills and your services and their needs and wants. And so I want to talk about two companies that I recently came across and visited in person myself. And one of these companies is actually here in Central Florida, right? Trying to do deals, trying to find ways to move, right? So one of them is called, it's a smart home fitness tech company, and they're basically trying to do what Peloton couldn't do. And they have 4 types of machines that work at home, and that screen that you see there will live stream live classes. It'll use AI to track the user's progress, and their goal is to try to get into Costco and Best Buy. They're also trying to recruit trainers and a whole bunch of things. So right now we're in talks. We're trying to make a deal so I can be the conduit to connect them with the services that they need here in the United States. The other company here, and this one's huge, they make robotic AI-run kitchens. Okay? So imagine having a franchise where you don't even have to have workers there. People show up, they get what they need, and it's operating 24 hours a day. This company is innovative. It's completely new. They have no presence online yet, and a lot of funding. And right now, they're actually here in Melbourne showcasing their product. And they're willing to even back and finance an entrepreneur to use their product. So they're looking for partnerships, and right now I'm in talks with them as well. And some of the opportunities here is showcasing their products to other U.S. entities, becoming a distributor, and they definitely need social media and online services. Okay, so from crisis opportunity, right here, these two characters are one of my favorite characters in Chinese. One is Wei, and the other one is Ji, Wei Ji. All together, that means crisis, right? So this means danger, and this means point of change, right? So funny thing is that if you isolate this character right here, and you say Ji Hui, it means opportunity. So within crisis, there is opportunity. There's always opportunity. And so a lot of people, when I speak to them, and I tell them, hey, I have relations with China, and my goal is to create bridges where other people kind of look at me like a random people. But China's the enemy. But now we have, a political environment where we don't know what's going to happen. Well, if you keep thinking that way, you might miss out on a lot of opportunity. Because the truth is that what makes a country is its people, not just its government. And people in China are looking to expand and innovate. And we have the services that they need. And they have the products that we need. Right? So, the opportunity here is emerging tech sectors, AI, robots, smart devices. There's a growing demand for cross-border partnerships because they're trying to get their products over here. And in Latin America as well. And so my role is to navigate this uncertainty and find opportunities and create bridges and build a network of services and people that I can trust on both sides so that I can connect them. Okay, so this is pretty much it for my presentation, but I have 3 questions for you guys. All right. So locally, and I spoke to Rupert about this, I don't have any reputation locally. I don't have any standing locally. I do want to have local customers here in the United States. In China, I understand their culture. I spent a lot of time there, and it's easy for me to make connections. But as a new consulting firm with a range of skills and experiences, but little reputation, how can I establish myself in Orlando and attract more domestic clients and services? Another question that I have is, how do I navigate the political landscape right now? And if you guys have any ideas on generating revenue or generating customers, that would be great. But yeah, these are my 3 big questions. Right now, we could open it up to Q&A and answering these as well. Yes, sir.
You talked about China. What about other countries?
I'm open to other countries. I spoke about China because it's China. It's a big place. Philippines, Thailand, even Japan. I have connections as well. The Middle East, not yet, but I seek to create connections there. I also have connections in Latin America, a lot, specifically Dominican Republic.
Yes. Last name Diaz.
Yes, sir. Last name Diaz.
Latino.
Yeah, Latino. Yes, sir.
You speak other languages?
Yes, sir. I speak 4 languages. And my Japanese is at an elementary level, but I can communicate. So I speak Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, and English.
So Brazil is open to you.
Brazil is open.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, most of you probably don't know that Eli is our new director of foreign especially places like Americas that we're all trying to work on.
think it's a lot more than that. But that's between
Times
all
500.
Fortune 500 companies. That's not
Times
the whole-
500, yeah. That's 3 billion, yeah, just from those companies.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, incredible presentation. Love what you're talking about. For your first question, I think one of the things you have to do to get your reputation out is get out to the public. So what's going on politically is huge right now, and it's going to happen, and evolve starting, now, but even January more. If you can contact the local news, the local papers, become an expert, and some feedback, right? They're always looking for people that understand this. I don't know how much of that is understood in the Orlando area. You can do that, and then the same thing with any of your social media communications. If you can update and educate people, and you do a great job presenting to us as the expert that understands these relationships. Yeah.
I'd like to speak more. I'd like to understand. Good questions, and these are good questions. Just to ask one question though, when it comes to the sales and outreach, that just screams like a marketing firm, just period, someone that already does what you're asking versus building it from the ground up. Would y'all be open, or are y'all open to looking at that big marketing firm? Because I don't think a little guy or a small entrepreneur business can really be the right tool, in my opinion.
Two things. Number one, there is no y'all. There's me, right? Yeah. There's me and my friends, partners, right? So there's partners. There's people who are rooting for me, right? And the second thing is, I run my business based on results. I will speak to you for free. I will see if we're compatible, and I will tell you what results we're going to get or we're expecting to get at the end of my services. If I'm going to work with a marketing agency, I want the same mentality.
Good luck.
Yeah, there you go. And that's why. If I can find a marketing agency that operates like that, that would be great. But, yes.
I will talk to you after.
A beautiful presentation.
Thank you,
My
sir.
understanding is that your product and your service is your communicational skills, right? And I wonder, how can I become you? Or services, how would I have these communication skills? 3 tips, if possible.
3 tips on communication.
Yes.
Well, I'm a student at this as well. Okay. And one thing I've learned from living abroad and communicating with all kinds of people is that what unites us at the end of the day is our needs and our goals. Right? And if I can start, when I started my presentation, what did I say? It's going to take X amount of time, and at the end of this presentation, this is what we're going to learn. Okay, so one thing, people are willing to open their ears when they know the end. Right? You ever seen a movie where they show you the last scene and you're just like, what happened? And the rest of the movie is explaining how we got there. That's one of my main points in effective communication. I'm going to tell you what the end result of this is, and we're going to work it out from top to bottom. So I don't know if that's 3, but that's the big one. That's my mental point of origin.
Thank you.
Rod, Carolina, and then Bob, and then Chris.
So I think establishing your reputation,
Yes.
you got to build your personal brand. And that, to me, when you are a consultant, the number one thing that you have to do is have to build your personal brand. So I look at, if you were to position yourself properly and have your brand built properly, your services will be just business.
Like really look at, because the number of people that I'm coming out work with, we're doing international expansion in the EU, UK, and Australia this year. And it's mainly through Amazon, but we need connections, we need all kinds of different things in those areas. And so it's, you would be an ideal person if I were looking to do that for China, or
Latin America.
Latin America. So
But right now, when you started this presentation, you gave certain facts about yourself, but you didn't have a super clear message about, not until near the end of the presentation, maybe I'm wrong, but about what you could really offer. And so I think that there's some things that you could really do there. But personal branding would be the number one place that I'd start.
Yes, I was actually in a personal debate about including an about me section in this presentation. But for me, I know humility is something that kind of counteracts some of the hard facts.
You don't do it you have to be authentic.
Yeah.
You have to be honest.
Yeah.
And you can't be cocky, but you have to be confident.
Understood.
So,
For me, it was about the big picture.
Right.
It wasn't a lot of people here. Some people
you are the big picture.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
remember,
Carolina?
you are the big picture.
Sorry, I missed part of your presentation.
It's okay.
But, and I'm not sure if the target audience is the small businesses, but I can tell you, teammates, starting your presentation, I think you received such a very good presentation. With the target audience in LinkedIn, make sure that you tell them what you're capable of doing. Because I will be your customer, because I was working with a consultant before they introduced to me online marketing. And he was very clear what he could do for me and what he could not do for me.
Understood.
So in LinkedIn, it's very important when you build a brand that you speak. And I don't know what you LinkedIn, and maybe you are doing it already.
Yes.
But what helped me is that he was very clear in the markets that he could open, what he could do, even though it was, maybe he didn't have a lot of clients, he didn't even mention one, but what he did made me believe in him and what he could do for me. So I actually would like to talk to you. Maybe I'm not your target audience. I'm a small business, and I may not be in your area of, because I'm in the food industry, but I would like to know how you approach your customers, and I can tell you what the others have done with me personally.
Yes.
And if we're a match, awesome. But I think LinkedIn right now for consulting firms is kind of the main platform beyond any other.
Understood. And please don't think that any business is too small.
No.
There's always a way for us to collaborate, or at least point you in the right direction, or you could point me in the right direction.
Actually, the small business space is
Yeah.
Bob?
What specifically do you see yourself in 5 years, not generally?
Wait, where specifically do I see myself in 5 years? Like I said, I want to be the glue. I want to be the bridge, right? So where I see myself in 5 years is connecting. A lot of emerging tech is being built out in China. Their whole goal is to actually become the top tech,
They already are tech provider in the world, and a big market is the United States. So where I see this being the most effective, and myself in 5 years, is I'm gonna be the one building branding and building like American branches for Chinese companies in the United States. And they're doing this a lot. They're transferring their company to the United States. They're manufacturing, they're creating jobs in the United States for the US, because things are getting very complicated with exporting from China. And so I want to be the guy that they go to for that, and I want to be the guy that gives people in this room that have these services, I want to give you guys opportunities. Because I need an opportunity right now. I need somebody to give me a chance. I want to help someone who's like me in 5 years.
Chris, Rupert, and Jim, and then Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great presentation. I have a friend that's a facilitator in China, and basically his responsibility is to provide quality assurance and make sure that the Chinese manufacturers are delivering at the part exactly that differentiates what your proposal compared to what this.
I would assume that he's either underground or has boots on.
Yes.
So I'm the good ones. So I'm the guy who there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to this. And I want to make it easy for my client, either in the US or China, to get access to these resources.
I'm one person. I can't be going to China all the time and vetting 18 different companies, but he can. Right? So that's what differentiates me. I'm more of the middleman in this case.
So I'm having difficulty picking which question that I want to ask. So I'll just say this. So you're looking for your first customer right now?
I have
Well, you
a
have
few
those
customers
two.
in China on the Chinese side.
Right.
On the U.S. side, what I have is a lot of companies that I'm helping, a lot of people with ideas that I'm assisting with general consulting services,
Right.
not specifically.
So my suggestion then is, which would basically be multiple birds with one stone, is partner up with somebody else that's doing something that's complementary.
That's a great
So
idea.
they can help you fill in the blanks on what your weaknesses are,
Yes.
and you can fill in the blanks on what their weaknesses are, and you pool your resources, and now you're getting customers faster, you're building your reputation faster, and you're doing other things faster. So
That's
that
a
would be
pretty
my
good.
recommendation.
Do you know if we can talk? But if there's any adjacent company that you know, you can make that connection.
I already
made
introduced it to them.
You've already done that. So, but yeah, Jim.
So, a suggestion, I'm reading a great book right now called Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek. I would highly recommend reading that because what you're presenting here, what Simon talks about in international communication and thing would be a great, I think you'll get a lot out of
Leaders
it.
eat last.
But in line with that, something that I think that might make your presentation more powerful is if you could do what you've done, but do it more in like a real life scenario. You know, I'm working with this company. Here's how this started. This is what we do for them. And start
It's a
with,
case study.
we painted their picture for, this is what I told them we could do. And I painted them this vision of where they could go if they work with me. And then these are the steps, these are the things that we did, and here's what the results were.
Okay.
All right? So now you're bringing emotion into it, but you're showing them really what you're doing without going through the things you did.
Okay. So it's more of a case study.
Yeah, I would do it more that way,
That's a good
especially in this line of business.
For the fitness one that was up there, are they only looking at the buyers or are they straight to consumer? This is a big fish.
It's a big fish. They already have an online presence. They already have social media. They already have influence.
So they're already direct to consumer.
They're already direct to consumer. It's just they have two issues. They're trying to identify who their key client is. Because to be honest, the people who are going to use home gyms are people who work from home, housewives. So this is upper middle class. This is an upper middle class type of product.
And their goal is, we want to get into Costco because China loves Costco. Right. So I'm telling them, is it the right thing? Or, you know, and they're trying to have showrooms, and that's a big fish. That's a huge fish, and we're working together right now to see where we're compatible. But the cool thing about China, and this is what I want to get in the U.S., is even though we're so culturally different, the Chinese are hungry. They're trying to get their money out. They're trying to get their reach out as companies, and they're willing to sit down and talk to a guy like me. And I want the same thing in the U.S.
Like by talking about trainers, are they talking about personal fitness trainers or people that could train your staff?
No, personal like fitness trainers.
Yeah, we know someone that used to come here, Chris, all the time. I'll introduce you to him.
Okay. Okay.
So I have a question. How is your how the process of your services going on? So what the first step, second step, third step?
Right? Somehow. And so I start with a free 30-minute consultation. And I won't say no to anyone. And during that 30-minute consultation, we'll find out if we're compatible. We'll find out what I can do for you or what I can't do for you.
And during that, after that 30-minute consultation, I have a template for an assessment that I do, and I provide you with the steps and the milestones of how we're going to accomplish this together. And of course, that comes with a quote. After that, we have a series of milestones and things that we're going to meet and accomplish, right? So I estimate, depending on the goals of said company, that you're going to start seeing results within the first quarter. So if we're a year out from our goal, you're going to start seeing results. Maybe it's not going to be revenue based. It'll be more clear understanding of what direction to take and an effective strategy on communicating with vendors and partners and things like that.
Robert, you had one more, and then we're gonna wrap.
Yeah, so you talked about the Fortune 500 that are losing millions of dollars, you know, and so forth. The thing is the onus on those companies to understand potential miscommunications issues, or is it the onus of people selling in their country to understand those issues? Or
I see it as I've worked with U.S. companies dealing. I work for one right now, actually. I work for an Orlando-based Chinese company, and we deal with our partners in China. We are one company, but they have an Orlando branch, right? So I'm actually a product of what I'm trying to help. And what I find most often is that us as Americans and English speakers, we have a us-centric view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an us-centric view of business. And the funny thing is that the world kind of panders and caters to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it's actually on us. It's actually on the U.S.-based company to have an understanding. And not because of just social responsibility and cultural understanding. It's not just because of that. It's because you have a lot more to lose.
But isn't that a taller tree to climb than somebody else?
Is it?
Because, you know, we feel like we're the top dog. We don't need to know these things.
Man, I've seen deals go super sour where the guy walks out like he thinks he's winning because he won the argument. And the person on the other side, this little vendor has the opportunity of a lifetime.
I get it.
Right? And it doesn't take a 3-month cultural orientation course. It just takes a specific mental point of origin where you go, okay, these people, these are the top 3 values. If I understand these top 3 values and I respect them, maybe I'll be a little bit more receptive than I would be if I don't go in there with an open mind and a clear strategy. That's all it takes. So yes, it might be a taller tree to climb, but at least if you look at the tree and you measure it, you know how high it is, you come in with some understanding.
Exactly.
So that's my approach.
Very cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Of course, we got one more final question, and this is a little bit redundant.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that we, as the Orlando chapter 1 Million community, can do for you?
The opportunity to do this presentation is my first pitch, by the way, guys.
Good job.
So you guys, so much support. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope that I can come back and do this again and definitely take a lot of your advice and chisel this into something way better next year. So one quick thing, sorry, if you permit me. This is a QR code to all of my social media, LinkedIn, emails, phone numbers. Everything is here. I want to give you guys a challenge, even if you don't think that my business is something that you guys can work with, or I don't provide the services that you might need. If you have any advice, any feedback that you didn't get a chance to talk about, please feel free to text me, email me, text me on LinkedIn. I would greatly appreciate it. I have some ambitious goals for next year. So your feedback.
I'm going to say something about this QR code. Because we all know QR codes. We all know that there's a number of places that you can go online and say, create my QR code for free and do that sort of thing. There's a couple of videos out there that really, on YouTube, University of YouTube, look it up, look up what the history of QR codes are. And there's a couple of videos that literally go through what every single dot or lack of a dot means in QR codes. And learn that, because it's really important. If you'll notice, those aren't dots part of the QR code. That's the logo of the company that made the QR code for you, probably for free. And that's how they market that. If you have any editing skills whatsoever, Photoshop, Microsoft Paint, Canvas, anything at all, that's somebody's logo there. Eli, that should be your logo there. If you do one of these things that is for free, they're taking advantage of the fact that QR codes have a lot of redundant information on there. There's a lot of wasted space because there's a lot of real estate that they can put a lot of information on a QR code. And if all you're doing is a link to something, you're taking up this much of that much available information. And so there's error correcting that happens with QR codes and all sorts of things. But one thing that they've done is they've taken that center box and they've put their logo. Somebody scanned your QR code and I started talking.
Yeah, just make sure you double check the content too.
Double check the content. Always, and whenever you do a QR code, test it with your phone, test it with your significant other's phone, test it with somebody who you don't like's phone.
First.
And all of that. Okay, we're gonna wrap up some things. Once again, we're on all the socials. Say something nice about us on your channel or on your account, or hack somebody else's and say something nice on their account. I'll show them. If you made a connection here, go out and have lunch, have coffee, have conversation with somebody, but have it at a local joint. Big guys are doing just fine. Support some small businesses in the area, and we'll all do a little bit better. That's wrong. Guys not here anymore. I gotta take care of some things. Okay, we're not gonna be here the next 2 weeks. But we are taking the next 2 weeks off, and we'll see everybody on January 8th. So I want everybody to have a fantastic next couple of weeks. Happy New Year to everyone, and we will see you next year.